1, 2. Look on my shoe. 3. Go.
Hi guys! See the crane? I thought of maybe making a video outside so you see a bit of beautiful Japan. It is spring, it is not very sunny, but still there are lots of people around. And in this video I'm going to talk to you about my progress in the Japanese language. I will tell you about how my habits of learning Japanese have changed recently. So, it is April, and as you may or may not know, this is when the new term starts in Japanese schools and universities. So that's when we take new courses. I haven't really felt that as a MEXT researcher because we do not take any classes or lectures. The only class I was taking was a Japanese class that was once a week for an hour and a half, and it finished way before the term finished, so I hadn't attended any formal Japanese classes for a while. So for this term I took a bit of a different approach. There are two types of Japanese classes at university. The ones that carry credits and the ones that do not carry credits. And the one I had been attending had been the one that does not carry credits. However, the ones that do carry credits, as I mentioned in a previous video, have some advantages, and so I had some people recommending them to me. The only thing is that I had to get permission from my supervisor, and I had to fill in some extra documents and get an auditor card so I can attend these classes that carry credits while not getting any credits. There are several types of classes. So there is the general course, which can be 4 hours, and when I say hours, keep in mind these are like academic hours, so 4 hours is actually 3 hours. So there was the 4-hour Japanese class, the 8-hour Japanese class. I was wondering which one of these two to take, and then I thought of taking another type of classes, which is a class centered at a particular skill, such as writing, conversation, kanji, and so on. I thought this would be great for several reasons. One thing is that I will be able to focus on the areas that are useful for the JLPT exam, which I'm hoping to take at the level N3. So, also, I thought that there are some aspects of Japanese that I find particularly stressful, such as conversation. I am not good at conversation. I am at least one level down conversation-wise as compared to my other skills. So I thought I would just leave conversation behind, not focus on this. And I went for 3 classes, which, as you can say, is something in between the 4 hours and the 8 hours that I talked about, because it's 6 hours, academic hours. So I'm doing kanji, listening, and reading. And I will talk to you in a little bit more detail about how these classes are structured. So there is the Kanji class. There is a textbook that it is based on. I guess I'm going to put a picture of it somewhere. It's a textbook that lists in lots of detail, in a very useful manner, with all possible examples, ways of reading, and so on, the 2,200 most common kanjis. And in the class, we're not going over all of them. Each week we have a list of 24 kanjis, and they are all at the N3/N2 level. The way the class is structured is pretty interesting. So we got a sheet that we are given at the beginning of the class, and there is a dictation, 24 sentences in which we have to fill in the hiragana writing of the kanjis we are going to study this week. We are not encouraged to prepare for the class, because then obviously we wouldn't have any problem filling in the hiragana, getting the meaning, and guessing the kanjis. So we write them in hiragana because this is very important. Then the teacher goes over the meaning of all these words, these 24 words in particular, but also anything else in terms of words and grammar that we may not understand in the 24 sentences. Then we get the other sheet, which has the 24 new kanjis listed. There are 2 examples per kanji, 2 examples of a word per kanji and of a meaning by extension. And in this sheet we need to have for each kanji the way it's written, then 3 attempts at writing it ourselves, like writing it beautifully the right way, then the meaning in our own language or in English or in Japanese if we wish. This is basically for us to study. And then there is space for 1 extra example of a word that we can, if we have the textbook, which we are encouraged to buy but we do not absolutely have to, then it's very easy to find an extra word. I thought that this might have been a little bit too forced, because I feel like if already I could remember the 2 words that are given as examples, then that would be awesome. And then there's a couple of extra exercises. One is, given one of these kanjis, to find 3 more examples of use that are separate words. So we cannot, for example, if we have the kanji for last, we cannot say something like last time I had a class. No, we cannot just bring separate words together. It has to be a word that contains the kanji and in which the kanji is inseparable from the word. This is one of the extra exercises. The second one, there's a very cute doggy that's passing. I wish I could show it to you. I'll try to, but I don't want to be annoying either. Can you please twist the camera a little bit? Come on, please, discreetly. Okay, so I'm pretending to be saying hello from another angle. Actually, I want you to look at the doggo because it's very cute. Okay, and here I am back here. I thought this was beautiful scenery. This is, by the way, the Kamogawa River in Kyoto City. Alright, and the other extra exercise, which I think is the most difficult one, is, again, we are given one of the 24 kanjis, and we have to find at least 2 extra kanjis that are pronounced the same way because of being related to it. Okay, that's a bit of a specific relationship between kanjis. Sometimes you get kanjis that are different kanjis, but that have common elements, possibly some commonality of meaning, and that are read in the same way. And as for homework / evaluation, every week we have to turn in these 2 sheets, making sure everything is written correctly. So there is the dictation. Next to the dictation we have to write the kanjis that correspond to the hiragana we've written, and we are actually encouraged, if we already know some of the kanji, to write them down before we get the second piece of paper and we can correct them. But for me personally, this is way too much to ask. Maybe if there is an element of some easy kanji, like the kanji for man or the kanji for human, and maybe something a little bit more difficult too, like what was there, like to choose, maybe then I can write this one. But yeah, it's all new to me. Or even if it's not, then I don't know how to write it. I can recognize it when reading it, but if I'm just given the hiragana and I have to write the kanji on my own without looking anywhere, I can't do that. Okay, and actually I submitted my first homework last night. It was due the night after the class, and this morning, it is Saturday morning, the teacher was so kind as to already grade it. I had 7 out of 7. So I have to be doing this every week. The second class, this one was Friday mornings from 8:30 to 10, and then 8:30 to 10, yeah, that's it. And then there is another one, 10:30 to 12, with the same teacher. She must be tired, and that is listening. Listening is a very useful skill, and it's one of the most challenging parts of the JOPT exam. So in listening class, every class we hear 2 texts that are somehow cultural. One of them at least is somehow cultural, Like last week, one of the texts was about the tanuki. It was a very funny story. So the tanuki, or the, how is it called? Alex is filming. How is the tanuki called in English? Yeah, so it was a very funny story. Like there was a smart man that asked the tanuki what it feared most, and it said tobacco. So he got some tobacco in order to scare it off. And then the tanuki, in order to get revenge, asked the old man what he feared the most, and he said that he feared gold coins so much. So the tanuki just was throwing gold coins through his window. Okay, and the last one we did, which was yesterday, was about the kappa, which is another Japanese creature with what they call a sara, which means a plate on its head that gives it superpowers. And the second text until now has always been something a bit more scientific, such as Japanese people's habits of eating chocolate, how much chocolate they consume per year, and how this has been going through the years, like looking at a graph. Always a useful skill. So we listen to the texts a couple of times, then we fill in some blanks, sort of in the form of dictation, but it's not exactly, you don't have to write exactly what you're hearing, which of course kind of gives you the opportunity to get some extra skills at paraphrasing. There is a little bit of true or false, there is an occasional more challenging answer as to why something happened. And then after each text, after listening to it, answering all possible questions, we are encouraged to read along with the audio, and the teacher calls this shadowing. I found this very interesting because the idea of shadowing is that you like a shadow. You know, a shadow has to be attached to you in a very ordered way. You're encouraged to read with the speaker in the same way in order for your Japanese to sound nice in terms of rhythm, just the right speed, and so on. And the third class, that's one I have on Wednesday mornings with another teacher. This one is reading. It's the one that I feel is closest to my skills right now. Like it's the one I find the least challenging maybe. Reading is a skill I happen to be good at. So again, there's 2 texts for every class. We read them and we do some exercises in relation to them. We also do quite a lot of vocabulary in this class, which is great for me. Basically, we have a list of vocabulary that we can find online before the class, and we are encouraged to, we are just given the words and if applicable just the kanji, and we are encouraged to find the hiragana, the corresponding hiragana pronunciation on our own, and then write the meaning on our own and get acquainted with the words before the class, so then we can understand the reading more easily. So this worked very well for me this week. The previous one had been the first one, so I hadn't had the chance to look at the word list beforehand, but I found the work list practice very useful. Then during the class, actually the structure is pretty similar to the one in the listening class. There is the reading, there's some questions in relation to it, some more on the true or false side, others more like explanation. And in terms of evaluation, every week there is a mini quiz, which I found was great. I felt very calm. It's 13 minutes only. There is a nice doggo again, so I'll move here so you can see it. I'm just pretending to be moving like that. Yeah, so I did the quiz yesterday. It really feels like if you attended the class, if you prepared by reading the work list in advance, and then you were careful during the class, especially if you revised for some 10 minutes before the quiz, you shouldn't have any problem at all. Alright guys, so I'm going to stop here because I see that Alex is having trouble holding the camera, like his hand is starting to twitch and he's starting to look like, come on, go on, finish already. So thank you, and if you liked the idea of me filming outside and showing you Japan, just give a thumbs up and tell me about it. See you, bye!